Welcome back to Business and Politics. We're talking to DBM Secretary Pangandaman. Secretary, I want to ask you about your outlook for 2023, but maybe if I can quickly circle back to what you were saying about earlier about spending the money. I heard that there were some problems sometimes with underspending or maybe the absorptive capacity of some agencies or maybe even some LGUs. Can you talk about that? And because we're talking about public spending contributing to growth, right? But it's sort of, if there's a problem with absorptive capacity, then it mitigates that. Is that a problem? And what are we doing about it?
Yes, it's still a problem. That's why one of the reforms, which is part of the common legislative agenda, is the institutionalization of cash-based budgeting system.
Okay.
What is cash-based budgeting system? It's basically funding only the projects that are implementation ready and shovel ready projects. Maybe we can take note of this because it has something to do with also poor planning from our sector.
But in the past, the government threatens the agencies, use it or lose it. Is that something that you will make good on?
Yes. We still do that now.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why as early as January, I already asked the departments to go on with the procurement of all your projects, those that have not been awarded yet. Make sure that you procure them early and implement them early.
Right. Let's turn to the general economy. You're an economist. What's your outlook for 2023? Are you worried? Are you concerned? Are you neither one of those? Or?
I'm a very positive person.
You're very optimistic. Okay.
I'm very optimistic.
Okay.
So maybe because the number shows it.
Okay.
First of all, our year-end, our all-year GDP growth was at 7.6%.
Okay.
We were only looking at only 7.5%.
Okay.
The employment rates is on an all-time high as well.
Okay. The labor participation rate.
The labor participation. So we're quite optimistic with the economy. But then during the DBCC, the Development Budget Coordinating, when we met, we kind of tweaked the GDP growth for next year between 6 to 7%. We downgraded it because of what's happening
externally.
So
what are the things, and of course there's the war in Ukraine that's having effects worldwide. There is still high inflation worldwide. We hear that US and Europe may be facing a recession. China seems to be reopening, but it seems sluggish, emerging from its draconian measures to contain COVID-19. I think it's only forecast to grow 4% something this year. What worries you when you look at the external headwinds?
Basically what you said. These are all external. These are some things that we cannot actually manage from our end. Okay. But from our part, what we can do perhaps is what we tried to do previously is that we really try to really open the economy and make sure everyone is being productive. And then, of course, we try to go out there and then try to get more investment opportunities for the country. Right.
I was watching some of your interviews, the Kapihan in Manila with Marichu Villanueva. I think you were asked about the Mandanas ruling then. And could you talk about that and how it's going to be implemented? Because my understanding from what you said then, this is a phased-in implementation. Is that correct? And,
The executive order says that the full devolution will be by 2024. Right. But then when we entered the administration, some of the LGUs actually, during our consultation, said that it might be too soon to implement the full devolution. So what we did is we did a consultation all throughout the country together with our Secretary of DILG, Secretary Abalos. So what we did is we recommended to at least extend the transition until 2027.
So is the problem with the LGU something again related to absorptive capacity?
Yes, it's more on capacity building. That's why our budget for 2024, there's this big portion of that wherein we will provide capacity building for our LGUs with the help of DILG, DOF, DAP, Development Academy of the Philippines, and DBM.
But are you looking at maybe some exceptions? For example, Governor Mandanas in Batangas, who whose name is on that SE ruling, right, has been saying that, if the government only implements it, to its, full intent, then they could go to town with the development, at least in Batangas. Is that something that you're looking at, or is it, you're looking at the uniform,
maybe what's important now is to have a standard guidelines for all of them. Of course, those first-class municipalities and cities will have to. They're okay, and then maybe they can be part of. They can be part of the government who can help those who are really lag.
Right. Is there a provision for because in some countries, I noticed that local governments, they go to the bond market. They don't rely entirely on the budget, but I heard that there were some restrictions imposed by DBM, at least in the past, perhaps, that, for instance, they can only deal with government banks like Landmark and DBP. But in other countries, they issue bonds if they want to build a bridge, or if they want to build a highway in their area. Is that something that's possible here as a way to augment the public spending that happens?
I think so. That was discussed during one of the meetings with the economic managers. I think there's no law or any legislation that prevents them. Okay. Maybe we should just ask them to do it. Maybe just like what we're doing here in the national government.
Yeah. Well, there's some confusion because I think Governor Mandanas was saying even President Duterte was encouraging to do that. But when we interviewed, for example, Senator Gatchalian, he recalled when he was mayor, for instance, that there were some, I think, circulars or memorandum orders that were tying the hands of local governments from doing something like that.
Maybe we can, but from what I know, it doesn't prevent them. But I can check maybe. So we can, they can have other sources of funding.
Right. So is there anything else that, in terms of general policies again, from the government, what's being talked about as I guess to blunt the effects of those external threats that we're talking about?
So inflation.
Okay.
It's on an all-time high now.
Yeah. What's your outlook?
According to our BSP governor, it will go down by third quarter of the year. Okay. So from our end, if you notice, our budget, the Department of Agriculture and the agriculture sector was given a boost of up to 40% in the budget. So basically, the marching order of the president is to give a high yield to our agriculture sector, to just have enough supply of food and lower the cost.
Right. The debt, is that something that concerns you in terms of, spending? We've written editorials in the past that it was even higher during some points of, I think, the Ramos administration and I think parts of the Arroyo administration. So, but you're the expert, right? Does it bother you that it's at 13 trillion, or is it something that's still manageable?
Oh, if you look at it, it's only 10% of the budget, the payments that we do. And of course, we have the MTFF. So the MTFF will show us the structure of our financials. And I know that we have a very competent Secretary of Finance. So it's not a problem.
It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Now, you were recently in Europe, I think, on a roadshow with Secretary Jokno and other members of the economic team. Maybe you can tell us about what came out of that. What was the purpose of the roadshow? What you?
It's basically just to showcase the Philippines, just to show them that we're open for business, and if you need, we have a lot of investment opportunities in the country. It's the first for the year. I think we're going to have a couple of road shows in the Middle East, Asia, and more in Europe. For Frankfurt, for Germany, they're more inclined in investment, of course, in power and energy. And for UK, they're more inclined in terms of, as a general investment on infrastructure sector.
Were you talking to any specific companies or business group that were keen on coming here?
Yes.
to
There's
invest?
there's a lot, and then there's this one company who wants to come in. They're into agriculture development. So yeah, we're excited.
Well, when you talk to them, what are their concerns? I mean, I'm sure they will, tell you that this is what we're interested in. But is it high energy costs? Is it the ease of doing business, or what are some of the things that you hear?
I think it's the ease of doing business, the cost of doing business. But they're also happy to note that we're into digitalization. I mean, it is one feature of the budget that maybe I forgot to mention a while ago now, that we tried to incorporate at the last minute of the preparation of the budget for 2023. We asked all the agencies to make sure that they digitalize their processes, not just their documents, but their processes.
Right. That's a major thing for the Marcos administration, isn't it?
Yes.
He mentioned it during his State of the Nation address. How far along are you in implementing that? What are the milestones, and what are the challenges in executing it effectively?
Of course, if you mean digitalization,
Yes.
it will cost a lot.
Yeah.
It will cost a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the hurdles that we'll have to. So it's more of prioritization and really planning from the different agencies, just to ensure that they'd be able to work and implement on their digitalization transition projects and programs. What's important maybe is that a very important reform during the past administration is the EO 168. That's the use of digital transactions, digital payments, and all the digital transactions. This is disbursements, payment system in the national government as well as the LGUs. So when we came in, we have issued the IRR. So as of now, our team they're going around, and then we're trying to consult all the stakeholders on how we can push for that. On the side of the DBM, we are trying to, for this year at least, we want to roll out our digitalization efforts. This is the IFMIS and BTMS. This is an online platform and online solution.
So you're saying digitalization?
Yes, I can probably perhaps say what we are doing in the DBM. So we are going to roll out our Bureau and Treasury Management System, that's BTMS, and our Integrated Public Financial System, that's IFMIS. It's an online platform where you can see the actual releases of the budget. So you'll be able to monitor, you see the financial health of our national
full
government.
Transparency.
Yes.
Wow, lots of things to
and better
watch out for.
planning and management of programs and projects.
Right. Secretary, we just have to take another quick break. We'll be right back with Business and Politics. This is Dante.